Welcome back to TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys why the Bulls need to stop using analytics to run their offense. Without using analytics, just the normal stats, it tells a different story than what the analytics say. And the Bulls are currently ranked 27th in offense this season. And the reason why is because they're trusting analytics to help their offense improve. But that needs to stop, and this whole analytics era needs to understand that the whole threes and layups is not actually very efficient. But before we get to that though, please leave a like on this video, also subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. So, to start off, I have the Bulls 2019-2020 shooting stats pulled up right now on NBA.com and their stats. But I also have the 2017-2018 Golden State Warriors shooting stats pulled up. And I also have the 2018-2019 Toronto Raptors shooting stats pulled up. And also the LA Clippers stats from this season pulled up. So basically what I want to say is the threes and layups is not, that whole offense is not very efficient. The Rockets are the epitome of that offense. They shoot threes and they shoot layups. They only shoot threes and they only score in the paint. But what they don't understand is the fact that they have one of the best offensive players in basically the history of the NBA. That's what they don't understand. Their offense is not just threes and layups, but it's also isolation. And that's the most important thing that they have to recognize, is that the reason why their offense works is not because of the threes and layups. It's because of James Harden, and his isolation play is probably one of the best ever in NBA history. So there's that. Not to mention with James Harden's isolation, he also gets to the free throw line a lot. That's how they score a bunch of points, is because of his free throw shooting. So what I want to say is something that the great Isaiah Thomas, the one with the Pistons, he said this on NBA TV one time. There are 8 ways to score in a basketball game. 8 ways. And those 8 ways are in the paint, the mid-range, 3-point shot, the pick and roll, post up, fast break, free throws, and isolation. Those are the 8 ways you can score in a basketball game. And these are just basic ways. We're not going to get into like the different types of sets and the different types of spacing, but just these are the 8 basic ways you can score in a basketball game, okay? Now, this whole idea of threes and layups basically only show 2 ways of scoring in a basketball game. You shoot the 3-point shot, and you go into the paint and score. But what this does is that it limits the offense, and what it also does is that it helps the opponent's defense zone in on how to defend the offense. If you really think about it, the Golden State Warriors, you know, people use them as like the start of this whole analytics, threes and layups. But when you really think about the types of ways that they scored, it wasn't just threes and layups. They had a very diverse offense, and that's what made them unstoppable. Their offense could score in so many different ways. That's what made them so unguardable, is that they can score from anywhere and any way. It's not because they shot so many threes and shot so many layups. It's because their offense was so diverse and so hard to guard, you did not know what the offense was going to do every single time down the floor. By only shooting threes and layups, you're limiting your offense very, like, you basically just put, like, we're only doing these 2 things. It's like, guess which one we're doing this time. By diversifying your offense, the opponent's defense does not know what you're going to be doing every single time down the floor, and you have more options available to you. So I want to show you just first the stats, and I'm going to show you some of the shot charts that are basically going to show you why this Bulls offense is ranked at the bottom third of the league currently. But first off, I want to show the shot, like how many shots are taken from each distance. If you look at the 5 to 9 foot range, there's 358 shots by the Bulls this season. A lot of their shots are taken basically right at the rim within 5 feet. But a lot of their shots are also taken from 3-point range, whether that's 22 feet or more. A lot of their shots are taken from 25 to 29 feet. And a good amount of the shots are also taken from 20 to 24 feet. So you take these numbers in, and you're like, all right, they shoot basically right at the rim, or they shoot the 3-point shot. That's what Boylan and the whole analytics department for the Bulls has shown has told them to do this season, is that we're going to shoot threes and layups because the analytics told us. Well, that's also the case with the mid-range shot here, is that they have not shot very many mid-range shots. As you can see, from 15 to 19 feet, they've only shot 167 shots from there. And this is in a total of 3,989 field goal attempts. So, you look at this, it's like threes and layups. Now, I want to show you the shot selection by probably one of the greatest teams ever in NBA history. This is what made them so dominant. The 2017-2018 Warriors. Look at the difference in the shot selection, okay? They took a total of 6,979 field goal attempts. Now, this is only regular season, okay? But look at the difference in the shot selection. Now, I know this is total season, but right now we're past the halfway point for the Bulls. Look at how different it is. Yes, they shot a bulk of their shots right at the rim with over 2,000, and then they did shoot a lot of threes. Yes, that's what the Warriors mostly did. But what isn't always talked about is look at how many mid-range shots the Warriors took. From 15 to 19 feet, the Warriors took 925 of those shots. And from 10 to 14 feet, they took 795 shots. If you look again what the Bulls have done this season, they are nowhere close to reaching those types of numbers that the Warriors put up in 2017-2018. They are nowhere close. Nowhere close. So, when people are talking about eliminate the mid-range, it's so inefficient. Well, what people don't understand is that taking away the mid-range basically limits your offense. So if you're a shooter, you pump fake and the defender blows by. You think immediately now you drive right into the lane. However, if you don't have the mid-range game available to you, now the defense knows that, oh, you're going right into the lane. You're not shooting the 15-footer, so I can just basically put a center right in the middle of the paint to protect the rim, and I'm going to block your shot. That's what limiting the offense does. Now, if you add the mid-range shot to your game, Steph Curry's very good at it, so is Klay Thompson. Not to mention Kevin Durant's probably one of the best mid-range shooters of all time. This is what the offense can do, and this offense was really, really good. So what people don't understand is that this offense was so diverse. It's not that they're only shooting at the rim or from the three-point line. Yes, that's the bulk of their offense, but they did not take away the mid-range game from their offense. And that's what diversified the offense to make them so unguardable. Now, this is the championship level team, right? Now I'm going to show you the Toronto Raptors team who won the championship last season. So again, they shot less mid-range shots, and yes, a lot of their shots were in the paint and from the three-point line. But look at where the Bulls are. The Bulls have only shot 167 of shots from 15 to 19 feet. Look at the Raptors. They shot a total of 519 from 15 to 19 feet in the season. The Bulls are nowhere near that pace. So that itself, again, even though it's less shots than what the Warriors did in 2017-2018, it's still that the offense was still diverse, and a lot of this is probably because of Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard shoots a bunch of his shots from mid-range. Now looking at a team that's currently playing today. With the LA Clippers, they have Kawhi Leonard, who's a very good mid-range shooter, and they also have Lou Williams, who is deadly from mid-range. Yes, a bulk of their shots are from the paint and the three-point line. I'm not saying take away that, but look at the difference. They shot a total of 321 mid-range shots already this season, again, compared to the Bulls' 167. That's the difference between the great offenses in past years and this year, and then compared to the Bulls' terrible offense, which is ranked, I think, 27th currently in the NBA, is that they don't diversify their offense. The Bulls' offense is strictly threes and layups, and that's the issue with this offense. It is too simple to guard. This system that Boylen has put in of just the simple dribble weave handoff offense, it basically only allows the players to either shoot the ball or drive into the lane. There are some pick and roll actions, there's some like down screen action, but it's not a lot. And with just only being able to shoot threes and layups, you're not even talking about post-ups, you're not talking about like free throw line or isolation plays. If you have more than 2 ways of being able to score out of the 8 ways you can score in a basketball game, it completely changes your offense instead of just those 2 ways. The Rockets, if you think about it, yes, it's threes and layups, but James Harden is an isolation way. That's how they score via isolation. They score from the free throw line. And that's the reason why they get so many points from the free throw line. And they're able to score a lot because James Harden gets to the free throw line all the time. Fast break is basically given to any team. But it's the fact that the Rockets aren't just threes and layups. They have basically 5 ways they can score. The Warriors, though, if you think about the 8 ways of scoring a basketball game, they basically covered all 8 ways. And that's what made them so unguardable, is because they had all these weapons that can score in multiple ways. That's the issue with this Bulls offense, is that looking at the shot chart this season, it's just threes and it's just inside the paint. Yes, there's some mid-range shots that were taken and made, but it's not a lot. And that's the serious issue with this Bulls team. They're shooting, as a team, 43%. That's pretty bad. And a lot of it is just threes and inside the paint. This is another kind of zoomed in depiction of the Bulls shot chart, is that, first off, any red zone means that you're below league average, okay? Look at the mid-range area. First off, they don't shoot a lot in general, but they're all below league average, and it's probably because, one, is the fact that they don't shoot enough, but two, the mid-range shots that they're taking is probably at the end of the shot clock a lot, because this Bulls offense is too simple and so easy to guard. Now you're probably thinking, like, well, this is the reason why they don't shoot the mid-range shot, is because they're bad from mid-range. I get your argument with that, but let's think about if they actually did shoot the mid-range. This would not be below league average. This, league average right now, for example, from just the free throw line area, is 41%. They're shooting 38.5% from here. If you think that if the Bulls took more of these shots, it diversifies the offense. So instead of just only shooting the 3 here and only being a threat here, and then if they don't shoot it there, they're going to go right into the lane, they're a threat everywhere else. And that makes the defense work more, and they don't know then the defense doesn't know where the Bulls are going to go and where they're going to shoot the ball. And then this is more of just kind of like an overall look. Basically everywhere is that the Bulls, inside the 3-point line, they're basically below league average. And if we're counting just mid-range shots, this is they've taken 331 shots from basically this area in total. So this is the Bulls shot chart, and they're pretty bad, as you can see. Now let's look at the Clippers shot chart. For example, already you just look at the amount of shots that they've taken. There is many more shots taken from the mid-range area right here. And a lot of it, again, is Kawhi Leonard and Lou Williams. But that's what makes the Clippers so great, is that they can shoot it from anywhere, and they don't restrict their own offense by only saying shoot behind the 3-point line or shoot in the paint. Also, not to mention the fact that the Clippers post up a good amount. And that's another thing that the Bulls don't do at all, is they don't post up their players. Wendell might get a post up here and there, but they don't post up Larry Markin, who's a 7-footer. They don't post up any of their other big guys, and they should post up. I think Zach LaVine could post up, for God's sake, but they don't post up at all. It's a simple 4-out 1-in offense that doesn't allow for any shots to be taken in this area, but only shots to be taken outside the 3-point line or inside the paint. Again, when we look at the Clippers just in an overall shot chart, they've taken a total of 588 shots in just this area right here. Just this area right here. Again, compare it to the Bulls. 331 shots. Clippers, 588 shots, and the Clippers are one of the best teams in the league. This really isn't rocket science with the Bulls. It's just they don't take enough shots inside the mid-range area, or just they don't diversify their offense enough. Again, yes, the Clippers are shooting below league average in these areas, but they've taken more shots. Look, 77 shots right here. Look at the Bulls. They've taken only 48 shots right there. It's really just showing this is the issue right here, that nobody is shooting in these areas for the Bulls. So when you think about the players for the Bulls, though, Larry Markin has shot a lot of mid-range shots. Currently, he has shot more threes than twos this season. That can't happen. Now, Markkanen's a great 3-point shooter, but Markkanen needs to be in the post. He needs to be in the high post. He needs to get open 18-foot shots. He needs to be inside. This offense that the Bulls run does not work, and this whole analytics idea with the NBA is not actually true. Like I said, I'm going to go back to what the Golden State Warriors did in their historic run. Look how many shots were taken in the mid-range area. They took a lot of shots because they're able to shoot it from there, and it diversified the offense. So it wasn't just the Warriors were a threat from three-point range, which they were, and they weren't just a threat from inside the paint, which any team is. They were a threat anywhere on the court. Anywhere on the court. And that's what made the Warriors so unguardable. This doesn't even show how, like, the different ways the Warriors can score. Like, they could post up Draymond Green and have him pass to a cutter. They can post up Kevin Durant and he could basically do anything from anywhere. Steph Curry can run the pick and roll with basically any player who could either roll or fade. That just shows that you need to have so many different ways of scoring in your offense to be successful. But this Bulls offense of just threes and layups, that's not what this offense does. This offense limits the Bulls' ability to score. And with that, players like Markkanen, players like Levine, Satoransky, Kobe White, Wendell Carter Jr., they are now, their offensive game is completely limited because they're taking away a major part of their games. And that's the issue. And like Kobe White's been struggling is because he isn't shooting the mid-range shot. Like, think about if Derrick Rose, back in when he was still in MVP form. Think if Derrick Rose the team was like, don't shoot mid-range shots. Derrick Rose would not be the MVP back then. He would not have anywhere near the type of game he would have if he was just like, all right, we're not going to shoot mid-range anymore. That's the issue with this offense. It's just, there is no diversity. It's two things. And yes, you can talk about the fast break, which, you know, any team is given that, but they don't really get to the free throw line. The Bulls don't run pick and roll. None of their players post up. Zach LaVine's an isolation type player, but they don't run ISO enough for him. They don't get him in his right spots. Like, that's the issue with this offense, and it's so annoying to watch. And when I already made a video on how Lauri Markkanen has completely changed. If you look at the difference between his shot selection from last year to this year, it's completely changed, and Jim Boylan has completely destroyed Lauri Markkanen because of it. So I'm not even going to show you the Bucks shot chart. Like, it's not as diverse because they have a lot of great three-point shooters on the team, and that's basically all they do. But they still, even with all the great three-point shooters, they still taking more mid-range shots than the Bulls have this entire season. The Bucks are at the top of the league right now. They're literally at the top of the Eastern Conference. They have the best record in the NBA. And people are like, oh, but it's because they just get into the paint and they shoot threes. Yes, Giannis is dominant inside the paint. Yes, they have a bunch of three-point shooters surrounding him. But think about what Chris Middleton does. Chris Middleton posts up a lot on smaller guards, and he shoots the 18-footer. Like, think about Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe is not the greatest three-point shooter. He gets into like the 15, 18-foot range and shoots it. Giannis, you know, he's getting a three-point shot now, but he's still very effective in the post and shooting like the 12-footer. That's what makes the Bucks so great, is because they can score in so many different ways. But the Bulls have limited themselves to basically just shoot a bunch of threes and get inside the paint, and they currently are below league average anywhere inside the three-point line because of it. So this whole analytics era is completely not correct. If you just look at what the Warriors did, this historic team, one of the greatest teams of all time, look at the diversity in their offense. Yes, a bunch of threes. Yes, a lot of shots in the paint. But they also scored in everywhere on the court. That's what they did. Compared to the Bulls this season, look how many shots they have taken from the mid-range area. It is basically none. 204 shots from 10 to 14 feet is unacceptable. That just shows that there is no post-up plays at all on this Bulls team. And that's why they can't score, because they don't run different plays each time for their offense. The Warriors were so great because of the fact that they could score in so many different ways. And nobody is realizing that. So I'm hoping for what the Bulls do is, at least for the rest of this season, you got to get Markkanen, you know, different looks. He can't just be just standing in the corner as just a spot-up shooter. He can't just be only driving into the lane. Markkanen needs to post up. Markkanen needs to have high post opportunities to not only score but also pass. Markkanen needs to come off down screens and shoot the 18-footer. Markkanen needs to be in a pick and roll and let him decide whether to shoot the three, the mid-range, or go into the paint. Zach LaVine, when he comes off the pick and roll, he needs to be allowed to shoot from anywhere. Whether it's a three, whether it's going right into the paint, whether it's shooting the mid-range shot, he needs to be allowed to do anything. Kobe White, when he does isolation, he is so effective at creating space. But the Bulls say, don't shoot the 18-footer even though it's wide open. Go right into the lane. What happens? Kobe is shooting terrible from inside the paint and can't finish because he's only a rookie. He can't finish yet in the paint because he's not strong enough yet. If you allow Kobe just to shoot the 18-footer, which he was so effective in doing in college, then he would be so much more successful. Satoransky was a good mid-range shooter in Washington. He has not been the same player since coming to the Bulls. Why? Because he is not allowed to run the pick and roll. He's not allowed to shoot the mid-range shot. He's not allowed to post up smaller guards. He's a 6'7" point guard. This Bulls team is so messed up, and it's not just like in like the hard to explain ways or how Boylan's running the offense. It's the simple ways. It's the fact that the Bulls aren't doing anything different. They're not diversifying their offense. And I hope to God that this analytics team realizes that this right here is an issue. This cannot happen. And the winning teams, the championship level teams, don't do this. The championship level teams score in so many different ways, and it's not just from the inside the paint or from the three-point line. This Bulls team, not just the front office, not just the coaches, but from the analytics and scouting department, they are so screwed up right now. They don't know what they're doing, what they're talking about, or how to actually run a team. And it's making me very, very upset. This right here is physical proof. It is very obvious to see. It's not hard to see this. The difference between the great teams and the Bulls team. Hopefully you understand now that the ways to be a great offense, or the way to score in an NBA game, it's through 8 different ways, like how Isaiah Thomas said that. But to be able to score in all those ways is what makes a team so dominant. And that's what the Golden State Warriors did. This Bulls team needs to understand that, and I think if this Bulls team did understand that, it didn't run this analytical style offense, they would actually probably be in a lot better position than they are right now. They would absolutely have more than just 16 wins currently. They would be in the playoffs. Zach LaVine would be a for sure all-star right now and probably averaging a lot more points. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys now understand that analytics is not always correct. Analytics is broken at times. Analytics don't tell the whole story. You need to look at everything in the picture. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel for more NBA content. Follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. Make sure you guys leave in the comments section down below if you agree with me or not that the Bulls need to change their offense to allow Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen to flourish.